Welcome on board. My name is Sharon Kalimbola and this is the Camnet News. The headlines. Senior Chief Kasempa concerned with the rise in caderism in bus stations and markets. Tutu Angulube's tribal remarks admonished Lusaka's Kalikiliki compound in water blues. In international news, dozens of journalists resign from Hungary news site in protest. And in sports news, Paris Saint-Germain striker Kylian Mbappe has serious ankle sprain after French Cup win. Join me shortly with the details.
Lusaka is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Lusaka. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Thank you so much for joining us. The details. A water shortage has hit Lusaka's Kalikiliki compound. The residents have since called on the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company to look into their plight. According to the residents, the area has had no water for the last 4 days now. We have the details in this report.
Kalikiliki is here again, but today not about hunger, but water problems. Kalikiliki residents have complained of the water problem being experienced in the area. As the residents narrated to Camnet TV, it is now 4 days without water.
Tinayanga ndine getu dirungu ninkhala muno mwa Kalikiliki but vuta amene tili nayo ni ya manzi mwe bantu tavutika manzi so 4 days manzi tilibe ati vima mashini vao va manzi vinafa manje tizasurvive bwanji na coronavirus amene iliko tizashita bwanji so tidanda lako chabe pankhani ya manzi mwe bantu tapapata titandizeni koni manzi yavuta mulibe mwe tingachitire.
Just like you can see, this tap is dry. One could tell there has been no droplets of water from the tap. These women revealed to Camnet TV how they have moved long distances to fetch water with water buckets on their heads. They have called on Lusaka Water and Sewerage to look into this matter. Constance Mwemba reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
The Lusaka City Council Planning Department has demolished illegal structures in Lusaka's Emersdale area. Addressing the media on site, Lusaka City Town Clerk Alex Mwanza says the demolition comes in the wake of complaints from Emersdale residents. The residents complained to the council over mushrooming structures built on the road reserve and drainage systems. Mr. Mwanza says human activities such as illegal constructions along reserve land have the potential to destabilize city planning. Details in this report. The controversial land dealings in Lusaka's Matero constituency have continued to sour. The matter, which openly started with two leaders in Matero constituency through a social media video, attracted the attention of ministers of lands and local government. The two ministers were prompted to visit Lusaka's Emersdale area after a video of Matero MP Lloyd Kajia and Ward 28 councillor Annie Chinyanda over an illegal land structure. Today, Saturday, the council under the City Planning Department moved in to demolish the structures after it was discovered that the council erred in issuing temporary licenses for the constructions to commence. Lusaka Town Clerk Alex Mwansa says the move to demolish the structures is a direct response to the needs of the people who have said no to the construction.
First and foremost, what we have seen today is a demonstration by Lusaka City Council to the residents of Emersdale and Lusaka in general, that the council is responsive to their needs and aspirations. And in this particular case, the residents of Emersdale complained against the tampering with the shape of the access roads, the shape of the road reserves, as well as the placing of containers in unsuitable places. And yesterday we had a ministerial tour, and indeed we established that the decisions that were made by the council are not in sync with the thinking of the residents of this area. They don't want the plan, the way this area was planned to be tampered with. So that's to show that we are responsive to their concern. We have come, we have enforced the 3 developers, and we are barring this foundation. We've also blocked the access, we've unblocked the access road, as well as removed the foundation where the container should have been placed.
Mr. Mwansa also says the planning department will stay vigilant for those extending their yards illegally across the city.
This particular development, we've done demolitions more than 3 times. But I think we just have to be alert, because they are also persistent. They want to extend their plots and they're always submitting applications. And in the process, we tend to miss out. But we are happy that the residents voiced out. And that's why we have quickly responded, because we've been here several times.
The council, through the councillors under the planning committee, approves applications for land extensions prior to this construction. But one wonders whether the authority even consults the residents if indeed they need these developments, especially on land. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka. Still on the council, the Lusaka City Council has responded to the cries of Lusaka's Kamalanga residents in Chawama constituency over the heaps of uncollected garbage. On Saturday, the council moved on site to clean up the area. Speaking during the cleaning exercise, Ward Councillor Jonas Piri is however concerned that residents have continued to indiscriminately dispose waste despite continued sensitizations. In this vein, the councillor has appealed to people of Kamalanga Ward to help reduce solid waste in the ward by complying with the community-based enterprise that collect waste. Councillor Piri has meanwhile implored residents in his ward to continue observing the set guidelines in the fight against COVID-19.
We just try to ensure that we keep the cleanliness, the monthly cleanups that is actually taking place. And today we are privileged that Lusaka City Council, through waste management, they provided trucks today and provided staff to come and help us clean the area, and to ensure that our residents also comply with the issue of waste management. And as you may know, a number of people indiscriminately they put garbage where it's not supposed to be, or people throw garbage anyhow. But this is also just to help our people that we must be law-abiding citizens, so that we could be able to pay the required amounts that the CBEs charge in different places. So basically, this day is just to honor the very fact that the president has actually put that we need to keep our place clean, green, and healthy, and that is the only way we can be able to uphold and keep ourselves up to date. Another thing I would like to take advantage of is that we are in the period where we have COVID-19, and as you may know, a number of people are actually dying, a number of people are actually infected. We need to ensure that we take care of ourselves. We mask up, we sanitize, we wash our hands, and also social distance, so that we could be able to arrive to the very fact that we are healthy, and we can. And a healthy nation, as it were, is a developing nation. So if we all get infected, then there's no one actually who's going to develop this nation. So basically, my appeal to everybody out there is that let us take the COVID-19 serious, and let us be able to be obliged with the rules and regulations that the Ministry of Health has actually put across.
In other news, a peace activist, Lawrence Mulenga, has condemned the statement issued by Kabwe Central Member of Parliament, Tutu Ngulube, suggesting that opposition, United Party for National Development President Hakainde Hichilema, has threatened to dethrone Chief Chitimukulu of the Bemba-speaking people of Northern Province. Speaking in a walk-in interview, Mr. Mulenga says Mr. Ngulube's remarks are divisive and ought to be condemned. Mr. Mulenga explains that leaders must endeavor to issue uniting statements other than statements that divide the country. On Friday, Mr. Ngulube, in an interview with Camnet TV, said Mr. Hichilema has closed his political doors in Northern Province for threatening to dethrone Paramount Chief Chitimukulu.
I'm here to respond to what I saw last night on Camnet TV news. First, I'd like to say the Lord favors those who protected His church. Honorable Tutu Ngurube's utterances deserve to be condemned by everybody. Actually, he was pitching the members against Tongas, and that's very bad. Just like those who got Southern Province and say we want you to be part of Zambia. They are part of Zambia. If Tutu Ngurube does not understand where we are, the main issues we are trying to fight is graft and tribalism. And the tribalism, to be gotten rid of this country, calls for the leaderships, including HH, including the current president, His Excellency President Edgar Chagwalungu, the former President Rupia Banda.
This economy. And we just want to assure him that Paramount Chief Chitimukulu has a lot of followers, and they will vote for him. They will actually not vote for Hakaim. They will make sure that they defend the chief against such threats. And we have seen, even in the past, threats to deal with Chief Chitimukulu have actually ended up very, very badly. And we hope and trust that Hakainde has got political eyes to see that the people that he's been threatening also have voters' cards, and they will deal with him politically. I think that's the way to go. If the chiefs are being threatened, they will be removed from their throne and they will be dealt with. The only other way they can also defend themselves is to make sure that Hakainde does not become president. So he is actually killing his own political career by fighting with chiefs. The chiefs should not be forced. Chiefs are not politicians. If you want to threaten, let him threaten every sort of politician and not in the chief. So he is actually just testing his own medicine, because he is the one who actually started by threatening Chief Chitimukulu. And I can assure him that in the Northern Bloc, where Chief Chitimukulu has a lot of influence, Hakainde will not have any vote.
Meanwhile, new Congress Party leader Peter Chanda has praised President Edgar Lungu for uniting the country. According to him, President Lungu has united the country through balanced appointments in government and parastatal institutions. In a statement, Mr. Chanda explains that President Lungu has demonstrated good leadership without segregation by appointing people of different ethnic groups in decision-making positions. He says the people should focus on positive things for the betterment of the country and stop issuing statements that have the potential to cause the civil strife. The opposition leader says President Lungu's humility shows that he has been chosen by God, as seen by the massive developmental projects across the country.
Media platforms today, where certain political elements are stating that the Patriotic Front has no agenda for Zambia, and they are sponsoring a civil strife between the Tongas and the Bembas. We want to state and put the facts on record that there is no pending civil strife between the Tongas and the Bembas. President Lungu has demonstrated leadership. Today, when you look at the composition of his leadership, and the chief economic advisor to the president in this country comes from Southern Province, Mr. Bene, that tells you that the president has a vision to unite the entire country. We have seen unprecedented development that the Patriotic Front has taken to Southern Province. Today we are saying Southern Province has got a newly built provincial administration with houses being built, Choma being transformed. I want to state that those that are stating that Patriotic Front has no agenda, they are the ones with no agenda. It is no wonder that we find that the same political party is sponsoring a religious thief or maybe criminal, like a prophet who is based in South Africa, who is busy scandalizing and cursing the president. I want to advise any prophet that is being sponsored to curse the president that he should understand one thing. For President Lungu to become president, the hand of God is upon him, the favor of God is upon him, and his humility has lifted him up. He has no issue against anybody. And I want to state that the fact that he's the president of the Republic of Zambia is blessed by God Almighty. And the Bible is very clear. It says you cannot curse what God has blessed. So for this reason, even the social media report where somebody is saying President Lungu will have no peace, I want to state that the president will continue to enjoy the peace, as Zambia is a peace and loving country. And the president loves this country and has demonstrated leadership beyond anybody's expectation. Let's look at the developmental projects that are happening in the country. Let's look at how the road infrastructure is being done in the country. I want to state that all those that are sponsoring prophets to scandalize the president are simply invoking a curse upon their lives. And I want to advise the church, I'm calling upon the church, that it is time for us to intensify prayers and ensure that we pray for the peace of this country. Because what is happening is that certain people are planting a seed of discourse to try and cause a civil strife, and that will never happen, because Zambia is a Christian nation and will remain resolute to unite this country peacefully. I thank you.
You're watching Camnet World News. Just now we take a break. Join me shortly for more interesting stories.
I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle Glycerin, then it's not pure glycerin.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. Senior Chief Kasemba of the Kaunda-speaking people in Northwestern Province has expressed concern at the emerging trend of political cadres taking over bus stations and markets. The traditional leader has since questioned who is giving power to the cadres. He says giving power to political cadres is taking away the power of local authorities who are now unable to collect the much-needed revenue for development in various localities. The chief laments that cadres are now collecting money from these places and pocketing it and disadvantaging the majority citizens. The chief said this in an interview at the palace.
Nanyi pati ijamali mkuye kwamba amali ayoku government ayambosi ya mungu nje hivyo kwamba ipo wajuka hivyo mwajuka amakini nge hivyo Hapana, mali kupita kwacha muntu tu wapoto muyi. Kaka watisheni wao. Watoka wao post. Kiti hivyo ni. Kadas, mamboka. Ini. Akino ubukeke ubamu. Kadas. Yo wajali da kurmani. Yo watisheni. Ese modo que quiero poco. Mambo kaya kia gay view mambo kaya kia. Akadas ba azikuni kati de kuni wajibu yutendi. Hiyo zimeki tuo tumo.
Meanwhile, people of Kasemba have complained of lack of development. They cite poor road network, inadequate boreholes, and poor mobile communication network as some of the challenges they are faced with.
Network tufuayo ni tuama na mapava yana network. Tusipa wipi na boma but network tufuayo ni bakabikira tawa kukiswa kunzenga kaika kwatire konkako kunokwe tukafuako ni so tunokeba network twapopwera ni mkwako wetu watama awe mkwako awe every kampe mpita manani kale matraki kampe kupenda 500 dalinga okumana ena kupita mumwe inokuchira lukungu ngiwa mbukale kufuako kupita kampe kana waingisha karoro minoweka wa road kino watama tutarepo kino not 2020 betu tarepo twapopwera tubigire ko tara
kyamuka no beteba kunoka sempa betu taya mambo we mkwako watama kati kino kumeka tunobe kujiki kipanchi mocha choba sura kya kunoka sempa ateba ba kunoka sempa awo mkwako ni kuleta mali ya vrabbing mu government wene kufumya kopa ku nani ku Namibia kutwara kukwe ku mwana kuona na kusungurura babwesha ku Namibia panuka bijimukwa kwa wene kupita mukopa yobene kutambwira po mari bakafuru bende bamurengurura byepi pukwambitikane na rukungu byonkabye pepe magrosari kunse kusorwezi bani kubika po mambo pani myotuka ni kupita speed pipe magrosari pe bana bena okiranganya kuya patigayo bena okiranganya kuya pa magrosari pano mapuso monga twamwe na pape kechimeke no yeba jipape batama oba jimu satani kinanchi ne kafuru bende kechutamana ne kabiti chikwabo mabo especially pakatumba tumbate tuamanama amoku ya kutuma phone kana na iya muno murama dambana nga pakona network ipo pakwitubikira pone chika nishita wakati bantu tubavota ne ketuvota nenyi
kime cha kuicha campaign mwitu bepa bingi kuno mbamvotera tukapanga mkwako ono mkwako mwane ke nete muyenu ke ipo kwituranguluka pone nichimo kwiturangulukira ka binonge mwaya za kumapunjo zizeza kububemba mwane ne matara afika ne mubibero y'abantu banonga kuno kikaje mwaza kututamana ambo kwiko kuvota ko tokere muvote twimuvotera sa tutayiko mana twapopwera
bo muno tujituna mabo kampi ya bizina ngwasa twena ukeba mabo muno muroma dambe twavura ke twakepa ne twavura twashupi wana mambo amemi uno mwaka mema kumantanda yonse kemwa zingapo mema ni apa zituka bo kamo apa market palinga kukara bo akwana ko kwafana kukara bo akwana ko mabo afana kuvura muno twavura kai onka umabutena okeba akafurumende kwituletera mabo muno mumpunja ya rwamadamba kwituletera mabo ke twafana kuyandanga satu tayamo ne mavoti mu batayani.
In other news, Mazabukwa Central Member of Parliament Gary Nkombo has challenged Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo to name the opposition political parties paying civil servants to discredit government and cause civil strife. Mr. Nkombo's comments come in the wake of Home Affairs Minister's allegations that a named opposition political party is behind the resignation of the men and women in uniform so as to paint government black. But Mr. Nkombo, at a media briefing Saturday, explained that no opposition political party has the time to pay anyone to speak ill about government, saying those doing so are doing so at their own free will based on the pain inflicted on them by this government. Recently, a Zambia police officer resigned from government, citing high corruption, intolerance, capitalism, and nepotism in the current administration.
The United Party for National Development UPND has challenged Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo to mention the opposition political party targeting police officers to resign and then teach them to discredit the service and government. The Home Affairs Minister on the 24th of July 2020 during a press briefing held in Lusaka said the plan by a non-opposition political party is anticipated to include officers from the defense and other security wings.
This to attention and the attention of the general public that government is fully aware of the scheme of a non-opposition political party under the sponsorship of some foreign agents who are targeting our police officers to resign and then drill them to act in a manner that would discredit the service and the government. The hatched plan is anticipated to include also officers from the defense and other security wings.
Now, Mazabuka Member of Parliament Garen Kombo says the minister should stop issuing statements he has no facts on. Garen Kombo says the minister must name the opposition political party that is inciting and discrediting of the service.
We think that as a political party that is biggest in the country, this is a very irresponsible statement coming from a person of the stature of the Minister of Home Affairs. Why am I saying it's an irresponsible statement from an irresponsible minister? Is because this is not the first time where PF has made wild allegations, and the allegations that simply sit to accuse other people. And I'll give you a catalog of the examples that you will hear from me in a moment. And did a fact-finding mission. To this day, no one has been convicted of having performed such an act. It is similar to what the Minister of Home Affairs is saying today, that known people. We challenge him. We challenge him to name those people. This is a treasonable offense. If anyone decides to go and destabilize a country by tampering and tinkering with the defense forces, with the internal security, it is an amount that goes for treason. It is responsible for the minister to say this. What they needed to do, as Dr. Kenneth Kaunda did during the Shamana, may his soul rest in peace, and the others coup to host Dr. Kaunda. They went and arrested them and took them through the due course of the legal trial. Mr. Kampyongo must learn that this is what they call alarming the nation. It's inciting the nation against political parties. It is an act of incitement, and he will pay the price one day, because the only thing that is permanent is change. This is cast on paper. It is his statement. He's keeping the names of these people to himself.
This has resulted from the police officer who resigned from the service, citing too much powers are being given to cadres in the country. Constance Mwemba reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Health Minister Dr. Chitalu Chilufya has reiterated the need for Zambians to adhere to the health guidelines in the fight against COVID-19. The Health Minister advises Zambians not to relax observing the set guidelines if the fight against coronavirus is to be achieved. Dr. Chilufya has discouraged the large gatherings at funerals, weddings and church functions. The minister, during the COVID-19 press briefing, said adherence to health guidelines will reduce the further spread of the pandemic. Dr. Chilufya has meanwhile announced that in the last 24 hours, Zambia has recorded 472 cases, bringing the cumulative number of cases to 4,328.
Cases of COVID-19 in Zambia keep on skyrocketing as on the 25th of July 2020, the country has recorded 472 new cases of COVID-19 out of 1,851 tests done in the last 24 hours. This is the highest daily record since the first 2 cases were recorded in March this year. The Health Minister, Dr. Chitalu Chilufya, has cautioned Zambians to avoid large gatherings such as funerals during this COVID-19 era.
Zambia has in the last 24 hours recorded 472 new cases of COVID-19 out of the 1,851 tests done. This is the highest number Zambia has been recorded in a day, and it is a call to action for all of us to change direction in the way we do things. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Dr. Kamalanga, has expressed concern at the compliance in application of public health and social measures in our various jurisdictions. We have noted with concern that in markets, in public places, in workplaces, people hardly mask up and hardly observe social distancing. Furthermore, funerals are going on business as usual. Today, when you hear there is a funeral, we are mobilizing the elderly from as far as villages, various provinces, to come and attend those funerals. And in under 2 weeks, the same as succumbing to COVID-19. We need to abandon business as usual. In the coming week, the Ministry of Health with other stakeholders in local government, home affairs, will be conducting special community operations that will be looking at community screening and community sensitization in particular places. The operations will be similar to those we did in Kafue and in Nakonde, to ensure that in particular places, particularly where we've seen the epicenters in Lusaka and the Belt, so that we manage to take out all the positives and isolate them either in their homes or in designated isolation facilities.
Cumulatively, cases stand at 4,328. Total recoveries are at 1,953. COVID-19 deaths are 33. COVID-19 associated deaths at 97, and active cases are 2,236. Now, in as much as the Ministry of Health is championing for the adherence of preventive measures, markets are still crowded, buses are fully packed, and now we have those in examination classes going to school. It is not known when this pandemic will end, but strict measures of the new normal have to be put in place. However, it seems some public places have adopted the no mask, no entry slogan. Constance Mwemba reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
This is Camnet News. We take another break. Join me for the international and sports news.
To create a positive difference in people's lives, one must first understand the way people live. At Savenda, we're here for our community, our partners, and our future, as a nation and as a continent.
Back in 1997, we decided we were going to create this family journey into a bigger opportunity, and created a business called Savenda, which meant Save Nations to Develop Africa.
It's always important to give back to the people. The government cannot do everything, but as business entities, we'll be able to reach a lot of people.
From our humble beginnings in the telecoms and mining sectors, to our work in energy and development projects, we know how important it is to be true to our roots.
Our services have to be diversified so that we don't depend on one income stream. Back in the village, I was growing up hunting and doing everything that a village boy would like to do. When you're hunting, you don't depend on one trap, for example. You have to have many traps. So those survival skills brought into the business created opportunities that we learned from a young age that you can't survive with just one product. Savenda Group involves Savenda Management, which is a consulting, Savenda Express, which is a corporate branding company, Savenda Electric, which is a manufacturer of energy-saving bulbs, Savenda General Insurance, which is a general insurance company, Savenda Fresh Produce, Cyber Africa, which is a center for just dealing with cyber security.
Now, Savenda is combining local knowledge with international expertise. It's time to be a part of Zambia's rising success and Africa's exciting future.
We are a gateway into Africa, and now we are praying with global companies who are coming to Zambia for opportunities and to look for companies that are homegrown, and we are proud to be one of those.
Welcome back. We now look at international news. As the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam nears completion, some communities in Sudan are concerned about the potential effects on their livelihoods. Al Jazeera's Hibab Morgan traveled to Lake Nubia, which is shared by Egypt and Sudan, to speak to farmers and fishermen about their concerns. Meanwhile, protests were held in Budapest against restrictions on media freedoms in Hungary. The demonstrations follow a mass walkout of journalists from the country's most read website over government interference. Critics say it is the latest efforts to bring independent media outlets in the country under government control. We monitored more from Al Jazeera.
They came out in their thousands to voice their anger at what they say is the latest silencing of Hungary's press. More than 80 journalists from the country's most read news site called Index have resigned from their jobs after their editor-in-chief was sacked. Last month, he publicly raised the alarm over political interference in the outlet's operations. For many, the dismissal was seen as a government directive and the last straw.
We called him on the phone and said we would like to initiate the end, that we no longer want to work at Index. After this, about 60 members of the 90 people on the staff did the same. They also resigned and are ending their work at Index.
Index has long been regarded as Hungary's key independent media outlet, but it has also been a target of this man, Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who once branded it a fake news factory. One of his allies recently took charge of its sales arm, perhaps a sign of things to come. Critics say the government is trying to bring as many independent media outlets under its control.
We honor the editorial staff, which today probably made one of the biggest sacrifices and risks to shine a spotlight on what's happening, on how a newsroom can be destroyed, how even the strongest and most read news portals can be ruined in Hungary.
One popular columnist reminded the crowds of a 2018 quote in defense of free speech from Mr. Orban himself.
We would never have the audacity to silence those who don't agree with us.
Across Central Europe, it's not only Hungary that's seen the steady decline of independent news outlets and a steer toward autocratic rule. A major sticking point in the debate over the EU's pandemic recovery fund last week was whether Poland and Hungary should be penalized financially for their behavior. But in the end, the money came through, and Viktor Orban claimed what he called a huge victory. Many say the latest developments at home look like yet another win for the Hungarian leader. Karaleg, Al Jazeera.
Interesting story there on media freedoms. We now look at sports news. Paris Saint-Germain forward Kylian Mbappe suffered a serious right ankle sprain in the side's French Cup final victory over Saint-Etienne on Friday. Mbappe, 21, left the pitch in tears after being fouled by Saint-Etienne defender Loic Perrin in the first half. PSG says the injury will be re-evaluated in 72 hours by a doctor. They face Lyon in the French League Cup final on the 31st of July and then Italian side Italianta in the Champions League quarter-finals on the 12th of August. Should PSG progress, the Champions League semi-finals take place on the 18th to 19th August before the final on the 23rd of August. Well, that item brings us to the end of our news, but before we go, the headlines once again. Senior Chief Kasempa concerned with a rise in cadarism in bus stations and markets. Toto Angolobe's tribal remarks admonished. Lusaka's Kalikiliki compound in water blues. In international news, dozens of journalists resign from Hungary news site in protest. And in sports news, Paris Saint-Germain striker Kylian Mbappe has serious ankle sprain after French Cup win. On that note, we come to the end of our news, but before we go, let's just look at the Camnet World verse for the day, and it's coming from the book of Nehemiah 8 verse 10, and it reads, "Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength." That's it. Remember to stay safe. We're still observing the COVID-19 health guidelines, that is masking up, observing social distancing, and sanitizing your hands. Stay safe. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Bye-bye.